Today I will explain a German romantic thriller mystery film from 2021. Before starting the film, make sure to subscribe and like this video. Movie begins with a young boy named Joan. He is working on a school project for art class. He studies in an elite school only for rich kids. In the morning, we see Joan's father. He is very strict because he is the state judge. We also see Joan's mother. She is an alcoholic and always stays in her room. Joan feels lonely in the house, so he starts an affair with one of his school teachers. The following morning Joan goes to school. We see a 35-year-old teacher named Luciana. She is Joan's art class teacher. We can see Joan is attracted to her. Later in the class, Luciana is reviewing everyone's projects. However, when she checked Joan's project she laughed at his project. Joan feels humiliated and leaves the class. All the boys in the class are attracted to Luciana. They all laugh at Joan because all of them know about Joan and Luciana's affair. After a while, Luciana followed Joan and went to the library. She talks to Joan and tells him. What has she done so wrong that he is behaving so rude? Everyone in the class is laughing at us. Luciana tells him that it is her last day in school. Because from tomorrow the vacation is starting. Meanwhile, she writes an address on Joan's hand and asks him to meet there at night. Joan feels so excited at that time and wants to play 1 versus 1. He asks Luciana, can we play there at night? Because school was the only place they could get physical. Luciana leaves the library. Later, when Joan is going home, a gay boy tries to talk to him. Joan is still thinking about Luciana. He ignores that boy and goes home. At night Joan goes to the address and meets Luciana in a car. Luciana tries to convince Joan to break their relationship because she is leaving the city. She tells him to find a good girl for himself of his age. Joan is madly in love with her and doesn't listen to anything. Luciana tells him that she is going to a village far away from the city to spend her vacation. Joan insists that he will go with her too. Luciana doesn't listen and starts driving. Meanwhile, Joan is trying to convince her. Joan suggests that he can go with her for the vacation. He can make an excuse at home. He will tell his father that he is going on a vacation with friends. Luciana agrees. They start driving to the village. On the way, they stop to eat something. Joan is eating a burger while Luciana talks to someone on the phone. However, Joan is busy eating and doesn't notice her. After some time, Joan plays some music in the car. Luciana feels happy because it's her favorite song. She starts dancing in front of a car. Joan is enjoying this. He is finally free to do anything he wants. Later at night, Luciana is driving when Joan falls asleep. Luciana clicks some pictures of him and sent them to someone. It seems like she is making a plan. In the morning, they finally reach their destination. Luciana shows Joan her house and tells her that this is her grandma's house. After her grandmother's death, she is the owner now. Later Joan takes his bag from the car. He realized that he has no clothes to wear. He only has a school uniform. However, Luciana already knew and bought some clothes for Joan. Luciana shows Joan the swimming pool. Suddenly she pushes him into the swimming pool. Joan is shocked to see Luciana having fun. He comes out and runs after her. Meanwhile, his school bag is drowning in the water. When Joan enters the house, he sees everything is covered in white cloths because this house was closed for a long time. Joan hears Luciana's voice. She calls him in the bathroom. There she takes off Joan's clothes and asks him to take a shower with hot water. Because the swimming pool water is cold, he can get sick due to that. Joan checks his phone and it was not working. Because of the water, it was damaged. Joan takes off his clothes and starts kissing Luciana. After some time, they get intimate. And then Joan takes a shower. The scene shifts and we see Joan go to Luciana's room. She is lying on the bed. She is feeling tired and asks Joan to hug her from behind. Joan lay on the bed with Luciana and hugged her. Both are tired and go to sleep. The following morning Joan started cleaning the house. He goes out and sees an open field. And sees some horses. It is the first time when Joan is free to do anything. He takes full advantage and enjoys his time with Luciana. Joan tells Luciana that you sleep like a baby. I was awake so early. Joan asks her to go to the village with him to buy some fresh vegetables and groceries. Luciana replies that I already have bought everything. And warned him that we could not go to the village because someone could see us together. It's not safe for them. However, Joan doesn't listen to her and tells her that he will go alone. When he starts leaving, Luciana realizes that it's not going according to her plan and agree to go with him. Later they are in the car. Joan is driving while Luciana is trying to get him into talking. She tries to seduce him. Joan stopped the car and started kissing her. After a while, Luciana gets out of the car and Joan follows her into the woods. Joan asks her where she is going. Luciana doesn't reply and asks him if he could catch me. you can get a kiss." Joan holds her and she again starts walking. Luciana takes him a little farther and then they start kissing. And play the hormone game. Joan feels happy because he is getting what he wants. He is in love. They are talking in a bathtub. Luciana tells him that Joan is not good at his studies, however, she likes it when he plays the violin. And that's why she loves him. The following morning when Joan wakes up, he sees Luciana outside, sitting on a bench looking worried. Joan went to her and asked her why is she worried. Luciana replied that she is waiting for a call. But there is no signal. And she can't call anyone. Joan asks her whose call are you waiting for? Is it your husband? Luciana says yes. Her husband is abusive and that's why she lives here alone. Later Luciana is taking a shower while Joan is playing outside. When two men arrive there and start talking to Joan. Luciana is watching them from a window. She picks up a gun and goes outside. Luciana talks to Joan and asks him about the man. He replies that they are here to buy her grandma's house. And that's why he started talking to them. Luciana is annoyed to hear that. She tells Joan that you should not talk to anyone over here. Don't interfere with anything you don't understand. She asks those men to leave. Luciana doesn't want anyone to come here or get information about Joan and her relationship. Meanwhile, Joan is apologizing to her for what he did. However, Luciana is angry at him and tells him to leave and go back home. Joan apologizes to her and tells her that he wants to live with her. Joan starts kissing her and later they get intimate. And play 1 versus 1. At night Luciana receives a call and her phone starts vibrating. She cut the call and went to the kitchen. She makes an orange juice and puts it on the side table near Joan. And leaves the house. In the morning, Joan wakes up and finds a ladder with a glass of orange juice. In that letter, Luciana tells Joan that she is going to a nearby village and will come back soon. When Joan tries to pick up the orange juice, he accidentally breaks the glass. Joan cleaned the house and got a table ready for Luciana to return. To his surprise, when he tries to go out, all the doors are locked from outside. Joan tries to open all the doors and windows but fails to open them. After some time, he tries to go out in the gap between a window. And he successfully goes out of the house. He goes to horse stables. And find a jacket and a cowboy hat. Without any fear, he wears it. Joan comes back to the house and brings some flowers to decorate the table for Luciana. Suddenly Luciana comes to the house with a wounded man. She is shocked to see Joan awake. The wounded man cannot walk due to his wounded leg. Joan helps that man and Luciana asks him to bring the first aid box. Joan and Luciana help the wounded man. After some time the man feels better. Later in the room, Joan asks Luciana about the man. Luciana replies that he is her brother. Joan is curious and asks you never told me about a brother. Luciana answers that I and my brother don't talk to each other. We have met after many years. Joan asks him about her brother's wounded leg. Luciana replies that her brother got into a fight with some bad people. She tells Joan that her brother will be staying with them for a few days until he feels better. Joan happily says yes. Later at night, Joan asks Luciana where her brother will be sleeping. Luciana replies that he will be sleeping here on the couch. And tell Joan that he can sleep in the room. Luciana's brother tells them that let's have dinner together. At the dinner table, Luciana's brother introduces himself as Raphael. After some time he provokes Joan by telling him some stupid things. Raphael doesn't want her sister to get intimate with Joan. After some time, Joan gets up and leaves the dinner table. However, Raphael doesn't care about anything. Later after dinner, Joan is helping Luciana in the kitchen when her brother comes and starts provoking Joan using abusive words. This time Joan is angry and he replies with some abusive words and go to the room. And start packing his bag. Joan feels that he should not stay here anymore. However, when he is about to go out of the room, Raphael comes in and knock out Joan by hitting his head. He locks the room and covers the windows with some wood. So no one can see Joan from outside. After some time Joan comes back to his senses. Joan tries to open the door. It's locked. Joan calls for help. And shouts Luciana's name, however, no one can hear him. He feels angry and starts throwing things. He tries to remove the wood from the window. Suddenly Luciana's brother opens the door and punches Joan in the face. At that moment, Luciana comes inside and ties Joan to the bed. After some time when Raphael goes out of the room, Joan asks Luciana what is she doing to him. Luciana replies that just calm down, everything will be okay. Suddenly her brother comes in and shouts at Luciana. He tells her to get out of the room. She is scared of him and leaves the room. Raphael slaps Joan and asks him to shut up. Joan tells him that you don't know my father. He is the state judge. Luciana's brother tells him that he knows everything. And start removing his pant. And try to get intimate with Joan. After some time, Luciana's brother takes a video of Joan with his pants down. Joan is crying and asking for help. Luciana's brother opens Joan's rope and comes out of the room. After some time, Luciana sends that video to Joan's mother. When she opens the video, she sees Joan naked asking for help. She gets worried and calls the police. After some time, we see police come in and start searching for Joan because he is the son of a state judge. Luciana comes to the room and tells Joan that I told you before to do as her brother says. Because her brother is significant to her. And leaves the room. Joan is worried because his phone is not working, he doesn't have any other way to call his family. Later at night, Joan hears some noise from outside. When he comes out to check, he sees Luciana and her brother are getting intimate. Luciana hints him to be silent. Joan comes back to the room and starts crying. He just wants to escape. He searches the room to find a way. He comes out of the room. Raphael is sleeping on the couch. He slowly wears his shoes. Suddenly he sees Luciana is standing there looking at him. Joan rushes to the window, which he broke yesterday. He comes out of the house through the window. And start running. Luciana starts running behind him and says she is still in love with him. Joan is confused if he should stay or leave her. He is hiding behind a tree. When Luciana reaches there, Joan comes out and asks who is that man living in our house. He doesn't think that man is her brother. Luciana replies, Joan is in her heart and she can't stop thinking about him. She further says that she is scared that her brother might kill her if she disagrees. Joan tells her to run away with him. Suddenly, Luciana's brother arrives there from another side. When Joan looks at him, Luciana hits Joan with a rock and he faints. Luciana and her brother start dragging Joan when suddenly they see a car driving towards their house. The man inside the car is their partner. He is happy because he got the ransom money from Joan's father. In return for Joan's life. Raphael had demanded a huge amount of money from Joan's father. Later Raphael takes Joan to the horse stables. And tie him to a chair. Joan is crying and asks him to let him go. However, Raphael is cruel and doesn't show mercy on Joan. Raphael points a gun at Joan. When he is about to shoot Joan, Luciana comes and saves Joan's life. Raphael is angry and points his gun at Luciana. He tells her that I will kill you too if you don't go away. Luciana tells him that you got the money, now let him go. Meanwhile, their partner comes and Raphael hands him the gun to kill Joan. Joan is asking Luciana for help. He is shouting her name. Well, partner comes in and talks to Joan. He asks him about his cowboy hat. Joan understands that the man was living here for many days. Because it's the same hat he tried on a few days ago. The man points the gun at Joan. When he is about to shoot him, he suddenly realizes that his shirt will get dirty if he shot Joan here. He opens Joan's ropes and tells him to run so he can shoot him from a distance. Joan picked up his jacket and smartly hit the man with it, pushing him back. The man hit his head on a nail in the pole. The nail goes off his head. He fires 3 bullets randomly and dies instantly. Joan is confident after seeing him dead. He takes his gun and opens his hand ropes with his teeth and run out. On the other hand, Luciana hears the gun fires and comes out of the car to see Joan. Her brother is angry and forces her to go back inside the car. Suddenly Joan comes and points his gun at Raphael. He uses Luciana as a human shield to protect himself and asks Joan to leave the gun. Joan asks him to let go of Luciana or he will shoot him. Raphael smartly leaves Luciana and punches Joan on his face. Joan falls and drops the gun. Luciana picks up the gun. While Raphael is continuously punching Joan. However, Joan fights back and kicks him a few times. Joan tries to run away. And Raphael and Joan fall into the swimming pool. They fight and Raphael punches Joan very badly. When Raphael is going out of the pool, Joan attacks him from the back with a scissor, wounding his neck. Raphael dies instantly due to his wounded neck. Joan took the scissors from his school bag, which he left there on the first day. Luciana was watching everything from a distance. She sees her brother dead in the swimming pool. She drops the gun into the water. After some time, Joan wears his school uniform and prepares to go home. Joan takes Luciana with him and starts driving. On the way, Luciana reveals that she had planned to leave the country with the ransom money. Joan throws some money and says this is what you wanted. Take it. Joan asked her why did she do this to me? You played me. Luciana says that she still loves him. And they can still go and leave the country with this money. She wants to live with him. Joan stopped the car and threw the money bag outside. He asks Luciana if she can go with him without the money. Luciana hesitates to answer. Joan tells her to get out of the car. Joan leaves her with the money. And start driving. He reaches home, where he sees the police. Doesn't say anything about Luciana to the police. Sometime later Joan is crying in the shower regretting his mistakes. Later he plays his favorite musical instrument. While Luciana is sitting on a bus with all the money. She is leaving the country and the movie ends here. Thank you for watching this video. Like and subscribe for more. See you next time. Take care.